So I'll actually show you how you can do that with one click inside of Cerebro. This is also a bit of a newer feature for us. So we're very, very glad and excited to showcase it to you today.
Oh, I'm so happy. Go, go, go. I love it.
I think you guys are probably the first group of authors I've shared this with for KDP specifically, or for books on the Amazon platform.
Welcome, everyone. This is April Cox, and I am very pleased to bring you a special guest speaker. We have Shivali here today, Shivali Patel, and she has been in business since 2015, launched her first brand on Amazon in 2019. And since then, she has been publishing several books and found her passion in industries around delivering authentic, helpful tools for others to grow and succeed. And we are so grateful to have her. Now, you're at Helium now, right, Shivali?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful. How long have you been with Helium?
So I've been here for, I want to say, about 1.5 years now. Absolutely love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the tool. And many people who've been following my channel and coming up with meetings with me see me constantly going into Helium. It is my favorite tool to dig into keywords and behind the scenes. And I cannot wait to see some of the new functionality and how you use it on books. So without further ado, why don't you go ahead and I'll pass it over to you and we can get ourselves started.
The purpose of today is really to help you feel comfortable and confident using our tools, but also to get you the best possible keywords so you can generate those sales that you really want. Coming from a background of selling both physical and digital products on Amazon, I will say I've also used other softwares. So I'm not coming in as just a brand evangelist from Helium 10. I'm also coming in as an author who can speak to you on trying to find keywords manually or trying to use a different software. And having come from that background, now using Helium 10, I know what those differences are. And I know how valuable it is to use our tools. So sort of my outline for today is going to be, I'm going to share my screen here and walk you guys through a demo of a book. I know many of you are in the children's book niche, but know that I will run a children's book demo. However, this does work for any book that you're looking at. So if you have a different, let's say you're looking at stress management for adults, this would still work for that niche as well. Same exact process, just for whatever niche that you're in, you would want to curate it to your own fitting. So Let me share my screen here. So currently I'm on Amazon. And if you don't have the Chrome extension installed, that's the first thing I'll talk about. And it's super simple. It's helium10.com/extension. And when you go to that site, mine says remove from Chrome. Yours would say add to Chrome. Once you have that done, what you will find is it will show up in your top right-hand corner. Now here, this button is the Helium 10 button, and clicking it will allow you to use a variety of information. Now, if it's your first time using the tool, right, it will ask you for a login. So you can just create a free account with Helium 10. You'll be able to use the Chrome extension for free, up to 50 uses per month. Of course, if you want more searches than 50 per month, then you'll want to sign up for a plan. However, like I said, you can use this completely free, test it out for your books. And I think 50 is plenty for, especially if you already have a book out, to get a feel for the keywords that you're looking for and use a lot of this other helpful information. So inside of Chrome extension, you have the X-ray keywords, ASIN grabber, profitability calculator, inventory levels, review insights. Now, not all of these will be directly useful for books. However, let me show you just some of the basics, right? And I know that even these basics will take you a very long way in finding the keywords that are necessary to optimize your listing. Now, when you are in the search bar, right, let's say you have a basic keyword that you have in mind. So you know that your book is like for stress management or for, let's say, mindfulness. And here we have a few different columns. You have your Amazon suggestions. So what Amazon thinks you'll be typing in, what people type in the most, your keywords after. So here I'm going to end up clicking mindfulness for kids just because it looks like there's pretty good search volume, 4,152. but also since it's relevant to the kids niche, right? But I've used other tools, like I said, that have maybe the like Bookbeam, I think does the keywords like this, but it doesn't show you all the metrics necessarily right next to it when you're looking at the search bar. So this will show you how that search volume has changed in the last 30 days. So this will show you, there's even a little graph icon. So let's say we click this, you can see how that search volume has changed over the last 30 days, 90 days, 1 year, and all time. Now, let's say we're currently in August, right? Where can we find August here? So it looks like this peaks every August. And I'm assuming that has to do with schools kind of opening up again.
Right.
Right. But even if this was a different niche and you're maybe preparing for October books or Christmas books or something along those lines, here you can drag and drop, zoom in on whatever dates you have in mind and get a better feel for what that search volume looks like. I love seeing the exact history. The historical context is so important, and knowing how your future will be predicted, right? How your sales will look in the future. So this is something great you can do just to keep an eye on to see how that search volume has changed. I mean, even here, this is great for finding things that are beginning to trend. So sometimes if you see a lower keyword, keep in mind that you're not only going to be focusing on one keyword, right? Even in your listing, once you have that book description out, the 4,000 characters, your back-end keywords for Kindle, even your actual, let's say you have the hard copies, you have a lot more space in your listing to use more keywords. So you wouldn't just be using a keyword that's 899. You could use the 4,152 keywords too, but it's great to have some variety. And especially variety where there's lower keywords that are beginning to trend upwards, because you never know, right? Now here we also have keywords before. So any keywords that include mindfulness, but there's words that are beforehand. Now you can really see your alternatives. You can see even in the search volume, there's more keywords that start with mindfulness and then have something else that have higher search volume. That's more demand for us as authors that consumers are looking for. And especially keeping in mind that longer tail keywords, right, can indicate stronger buyer intent. So somebody who's looking for mindfulness for kids or mindfulness posters for classroom, maybe there's even something more specific like affirmation mindfulness posters for classroom. We know those people are looking for something specific. So when they see what they're looking for, they're more likely to buy it, right? Yeah. So here we have the keywords after, keywords before, the Amazon suggestions, and then Smart Complete. So these are any of those words that would show up for broad match PPC campaigns for the words that we are looking at. So for mindfulness, these are other things that have been listed. The products that show up for mindfulness will also show up for some of these in product targeting campaigns. Now I'm going to click mindfulness for kids because we are I know a lot of you are in the children's niche. So here we have over 6,000 results for mindfulness for kids. It's a bit broad, so we don't know if we're looking at games or books. You guys can always also navigate specifically to the book section and then take a look at this. This Chrome extension will still work. Here, what I'm going to do is open up the Chrome extension and take a look at some overview stats. So how I can do that is by clicking X-Ray. Now, X-Ray Amazon product research will give me some information like the bestseller rank, the title, the price point of what it's set at, how their sales have looked, how much revenue they're generating. So here we have this mindfulness workbook for kids, right? And it's generating $24,688 in revenue. You also have this book right here, What Should Danny Do? And that's $192,000 in revenue. Jeez. So these books you can always open up. And at any point, if let's say you're still I also want to make sure that we're offering some information to those of you that are still in the process of maybe finding books to write about, or you're in the process of building out that book, you can go to Review Insights. And if there's thousands of reviews on a book, you can find not only keywords that you want to include in your listing by taking a look at the top phrases of what shows up most in reviews. So this right here is a bit vague, right? Sometimes in some niches, you'll find it a lot more specific. So mindfulness could also be associated to maybe gratitude or manifesting or, finding peace or accepting obstacles. You'll find some of those things if they're really talked about in reviews in the top phrases section or in the review analysis section. You can also filter for ratings. So maybe you only want to take a look at the negative ratings, or you want to see the extremes, the most positive, most negative ones. You want to see things with only verified reviews. You can do all of that here and click Apply Filters to filter this information to find one. Maybe you want to figure out how to structure your book. You need chapter help. right? Outlining your chapters. Or 2, finding keywords that people are talking about that people like or dislike. So you can frame your listing to include that. Maybe people absolutely hate that every single book only gives you the basic information. They say, hey, like if you want to be mindful and more conscious of your decisions, be grateful every day. That's a standard practice, right?
Right.
Maybe people are saying, like you could have learned this anywhere. Then in your listing to talk about that. I know that you're sick of seeing books everywhere talk about the same exact practices, but let me show you what's going to be new in this book. And then you can talk about all the things that you found in review insights in the reviews that people loved. And so now you're focusing in, you're understanding your consumer, and you're really speaking to their soul. So that's another way you can use the Chrome extension. I'm going to go back into X-Ray and show you some of this other information and how you can find more keywords. So let's say this was a niche that we were interested in, right? We're looking at building a mindfulness workbook for kids. I'm going to select some of these books and keep in mind, not all of them can be books if you're not in the books category, right? So make sure you're finding relevant products. Relevancy is so important. We don't want somebody who's searching for a mindfulness book to show up for mindfulness card games. And here we have this mindfulness workbook. We have mindfulness for kids in 10 minutes a day, simple exercises to feel calm, focused. And then maybe we can find, this is activities, maze. And then here's an activity book. So another thing to keep in mind is sometimes we want to be super cautious about the age range when it comes to children's book. So the children's book for 4 to 8-year-olds won't necessarily be the ones for younger kids. I don't know if this one doesn't have an age range. This one doesn't either. And this one doesn't either. So let's just stick with that. We'll run with 4. You guys can pick as many as you want or less. I'm going to click Run Cerebro. So Run Cerebro is our keyword research tool. Basically, what it does is it will pull your ASIN or your ISBN or your ebook identifier and show you all the keywords that those products are showing up for. We did have the search volume up here. It does the same thing I talked about earlier. Run keyword will take us into your Helium 10 account. Like I said, you can build a free account. And here you can enter up to 10 product identifiers to find their top performing keywords. And it's awesome just to see what other people are doing so you can emulate it, right? When you can duplicate that process or find things that maybe not all your ASINs are identifying for, right? Or indexing for. And then you can go in there as an opportunity keyword, use that as an opportunity keyword to make sales that others aren't capitalizing on. So I'll actually show you how you can do that with one click inside of Cerebro. This is also a bit of a newer feature for us. So we're very, very glad and excited to showcase it to you today.
Oh, I'm so happy. Go, go, go. I love it.
I think you guys are probably the first group of authors I've shared this with for KDP specifically, or for books on the Amazon platform. Now, inside of Cerebro, you have 35,958 filtered keywords that these products are showing up for, their broad match for. Here you have the keyword phrase. You have mindfulness in kids mindfulness, here, perfect example, right? Mindfulness for keyword kids has a different search volume. Here you have 272 on average per month. Compared to these lower ones, you have mindfulness for kids, mindfulness activities, and just so much more, right? And so maybe the next question becomes, how do you pick your keywords when there's so many to choose, right? Well, we have a couple ways. First, you could sort the column. So maybe you want to find things that are really heavily searched for, right? You'd be able to just click this and it would automatically sort it by highest search volume to lowest search volume. So what are people searching for the most? But something else to keep in mind is then when I did that, right, take a look at this search volume. Now, this isn't exactly relevant to me, right? 7,900, but Stranger Things, unless I'm going to put out a mindfulness book for Stranger Things specifically, which doesn't even make sense to me. I've never watched the show. And I don't know if any of you guys are Stranger Things fans, but not all of this is relevant anymore, right? So that could be problematic. Also, another thing that could be problematic when you sort by search volume is your competing products. If you have over 100,000 competing products, that's not great either, because then it's harder to rank. So how do you really go through and choose something? Well, you could, first of all, take a look at these one-click filters. And this is the newer feature I was talking about. You can click main keywords commonly used by these competitors we selected and that have a substantial search volume. So when I click this, right, we went from 35,000 plus keywords to 17 filtered keywords automatically. So this here, you can see is pretty relevant, right? It's not all going to be stuff you want to necessarily use, but it's pretty relevant. Mindfulness for kids mindfulness books, pretty decent in search volume. Not all of them are super high, but used in coordination, it could be good. You also have the kids stays in the picture paperback. So this, I'm assuming, is a specific book. Maybe we want to X that out. Just click the trash icon. You can take it right out. Mindfulness in plain English. Don't feed the worry bug. Sounds like a book. I'm going to take it out. If you're not sure if it's a book, just click the arrow. It'll take you into Amazon and you can take a look at what exactly it is. So next to it, we also have the keyword sales. So how much on average number of sales are being generated for this keyword phrase by the ASINs? The Cerebro IQ score, that's just a ratio of the search volume with the competing products. And then the search volume with the graph that you can play around with, how that search volume's changed. And then the number of sponsored ASINs that are showing up for these, as well as title density and CPR. So what is CPR and title density? CPR is how many books you would have to give away at a discounted rate to rank on page 1 for this keyword phrase. So if I were to give away 32 every single day for 8 days at a discounted value, I would be more likely to rank on page 1 for this book. But sometimes, let's say you end up finding something that's 9 lower than that, right? Then you found a keyword where you can rank a bit easier. You also have your title density, which is how many products on that first page have this keyword actually in the title. This is a very easier way to rank. So if I just included kids' mindfulness books inside of my title, I can rank a lot easier for that keyword. Now, this might not necessarily be something you want to do because, of course, your book has a title. But if you're doing this before you've written your book or before you've maybe taken the time to title your book, then you can find a keyword that you like and incorporate it into your title. So this can be helpful just to rank and find those keywords you're looking for that some of those other ASINs, your competitors, are also ranking for and getting sales from. Here you have some other stuff like sponsored rank. Not all of these will show up because our tool is, as of the moment, mostly for physical products, but we are expanding. So hopefully we're able to show this to you a lot better in the future, but you can still use this information to obviously see search volume and how many keyword sales are being generated and find relevant information. Now I'm going to clear out the filters. So when I click top keywords, it automatically put in some parameters here for me. So it showed me competitor rank 1 through 40, meaning are the ASINs showing up? Like how many of those ASINs are really showing up for the same keywords? How many ranking competitors are there? At least 2 of them are ranking for the keyword. So we know that it's relevant, right? More relevant to the book. So that way we're filtering out things like Stranger Things that we saw earlier, and there's at least 500 search volume. You want to find higher search volume keywords? No problem. Type that in. Play around with these, play around with the ASINs that you input, and I promise you'll be able to find keywords that are much, much more better and suitable to your listing. Search volume and competing products are 2 of your most important metrics because they'll show you demand that people are looking for it, and then filtering for a max number of competing products can also make sure that you actually have opportunity to compete into the fields that you are taking a look at. Scrolling down, I'm going to show you guys how you can add keywords to a list inside of Helium 10 so we can actually build out our listing inside of the tools. Here, if I select all of them, let's say I want to select these 11 for relevancy and for keywords I might be interested in using, I can add them to my list, create a new folder. I'm going to title this folder, let's do mindfulness for kids. I'm going to click save. And then since I just created that folder, I'm going to have to add that. So if you just create a folder there, it's not going to add those keywords right away. So you'll have to go back in and add them. Now I have 11 keywords added. I'm going to click clear here. Let's take a look at some opportunity keywords. So top keywords were the keywords that most of these products are actually already ranking for, generating sales from. But opportunity keywords are keywords that not all of these are showing up for, but you have room to go in, rank, and then generate sales. So I wonder if we'll actually find some for this. Let's see. Here, these are 29 filtered keywords. So again, you want to sort for relevancy. So make sure you go through and see if it's something that you want to work with, or it's relevant to your book or your ideas, or if you're building out your book, just getting some ideas from here on what you want to write about or structure your chapters under. I'm not seeing too much, but mindful to mindful sounds interesting. Sounds like the same thing, but that makes sense. Did you get that?
Yes.
Like that.
It's very good. Yes.
It is useful still to rank for similar books, because then you can potentially convert that traffic as well. Yes. So I have selected inspirational books for kids, mindful to mindful. We have, what else? Working backwards book potentially, but the problem I could see here with is kids, could be not, but I'm just going to go ahead and add it. So I'm going to select these 4 and click add to my list. I can go back and either add it to the same exact one, which is what I'm going to do. But I could have also created a new folder and then added it to a separate one if I wanted.
Nice.
So I'm just kind of adding everything in. Some of the other information you see here is your keyword distribution. So how many are sponsored, organic, and Amazon recommended, alongside what the word frequency kind of looks like. So Amazon recommended are keywords that Amazon recommends you advertise for, or that they recommend you index for. Now, these don't necessarily mean they're keywords you should, because sometimes the relevancy factor comes into play. They'll pull up, especially for books, you can end up having them recommend other book titles that aren't entirely the same thing or useful to you. However, it is just words that Amazon is suggesting that you take a look at to actually include or use part of your advertising efforts. So word frequency here, this has the number of times it appears inside of the given keywords. I'm going to clear this out. You'll see that information change to a lot more or to something different. So here it's a bit more broad. It's books, but let's go back into these parameters. You have a lot of different options here. So if you want, you can sort for title density we talked about earlier, or for competing products, as April said, search volume if you would like. Another thing you could do is, if you know that you are going to look for something emotional intelligence based, mindfulness based, or you have a specific topic, you can input that, click phrases containing, click apply filters, and you'll have 256 filtered keywords that are specifically for mindfulness. Or even if we typed in kids, I could go through that, find 4,000 books that are specifically for kids. But again, relevancy. So here, maybe you have containing kids if you want to include mindfulness.
This is great. So you can organize it in your lists. You can also export these lists, which is amazing.
Yes. Yep, that's right here. So you can export this data as well. And here now that I put in mindfulness and kids separated by a comma, I have 53 filtered keywords that are relevant to teaching kids about mindfulness. So again, go through, filter. I'm just going to, for the sake of time, just click all of these and add them to my list. Cerebro is included with a free Helium 10 version. So we just covered Cerebro. You saw me take some keywords, input them to our list that we created. So if you go to the tools tab on top, the top row, you also have Magnet, which is another keyword research tool. And how it's different from Cerebro, which is what we were just looking at, is instead of ASIN, so product identifiers, your ISBN, you can now input keywords. So here I'm going to put in mindfulness for kids, which is what we originally had typed in, right? I can input more keywords. I'm just going to put in that one and click get keywords. And you'll see access to a lot of the same information, but there'll be different keywords now. So they'll show you keywords associated to mindfulness for kids that they feel are remotely relevant. As usual, we have filters for you. You can go in, put in your competing products, your title density if you would like, your exclude phrases or containing phrases, and click apply. So you can filter down your 7,366. Now I'm going to go ahead and input mindfulness here and kids, click apply filters. And here you can see that went from 7,000 to 99 filtered keywords. You have a lot of that same information, your keyword sales, your IQ score, your search volume, how that search volume's changed, number of sponsored ASINs, number of competing products, as well as the CPR and then the match type. So is it organic, smart, complete, or not Amazon recommended, organic. Going back, let's say these are all words that we wanted to include. I would click add to my list. Now I could create a new folder for Magnet, or I could add it to the same one. I'm adding it to the same one. And now where can I find all these keywords that I have gone through, taken the time to find? I can go into tools again, click my list keywords, and you'll see now I have all my folders here. I'm going to go to the second page because I have quite a few. And you can see here it says mindfulness for kids. I have 73 keywords and the date it was created and the marketplace it was created in. So as you can see inside the keywords list folder, we don't give you access to all the search volume and competing products right now. And that's just because, like I said, most of these tools are primarily for physical products. However, as you saw when we were doing the keyword research, right, you could see all of that information. You could see the search volume, you could see it. So when you are going through the original process, I highly encourage you to take your time on it. That is one of the most important parts of your business, part of your book journey, is finding the right keywords, as well as just staying on top of them because it is a market that's rapidly changing, right? So if you feel like you've seen a drop in your sales or something, go back, take a look at the keywords, see what you can optimize. Because sometimes it is really that difference of one or two keywords that will boost your sales for you once again.
Right.
Here, I had just inputted everything, but a lot of this stuff was relevant. So what I can do here is I can select all of these and input it into Frankenstein if I want, Scribbles, Magnet. So if I wanted to go back into Magnet, I could do that. But I want to show you something super cool, which is our listing builder. So once you have, yes, all your keywords, how can I organize it in information that is going to convert my traffic, right? Yes. You have so many people every single day on Amazon that are searching for these books, right? But how do I get in front of them is the first problem, which is by using keywords and optimizing it, having an amazing book, having a high quality title and cover art, right? But after that is how do I persuade them once they've clicked on my listing? And that's by using something like Listing Builder. So if I go to it, what you'll see is you can click Add a Listing in the top right-hand corner, and then I can click Create from Scratch, and then input an ASIN if I want, or just click Start Building. So I'm just going to click Start Building, and this will allow me to input keywords one of three ways. I can click Add from my list. So here we have our mindfulness for keywords for kids. And I'm going to click Add to the bank, and you'll see on my right-hand side, it immediately adds these keywords. So I have 73 of 1,000 keywords I could possibly add. I can also click Get Keyword Suggestions, where I can input some competitor ASINs and get suggested keywords. Now, I don't really recommend doing this just because you want to make sure you're seeing all of the information that's necessary, right? So here you can see the search volume is back. We have access to some of the search volume. Again, not all of it. Again, we'll work on this, you guys. We want to make sure you have access to it. But for now, just take a look at it in Cerebro and Magnet and try to concise your list down to, I would say, 30 to 40 keywords. So that's what I would get it down to, 30 to 40 keywords that you feel like you would love to use, that have good search volume, less competing products, that are relevant, that you feel people will click on and you can actually relate and speak to your consumer about, where they feel understood. So get it down to 30 to 40. I have 73, not really necessary, but sometimes it is great to have that information. Here, you can also manually add keywords. Keywords are all around us. Maybe you're talking to a friend in a conversation. They're telling you about a problem they have or their kids are facing, right? Maybe they're going to school and they're saying, hey, my kid's struggling with their peers not being nice. So how do I deal with this? And then you think, oh, I could include this in my mindfulness for kids book. Well, you can do that. So maybe you went to the keyword planner on Google Ads, or maybe you just thought of a keyword by yourself, you want to include it, no problem. Just input it here. So I'm just going to include social emotional learning. Awesome. I love it. So I'm going to add that to the bank, and you'll see that it now says 74 keywords and it's added right to the top. And it has very good search volume, 7,143 search volume. Again, click the graph, see the search history if you'd like, and you can toggle between different date ranges. Now, once I've inputted and put together my list of keywords, I would click Next, where here I now have access to my entire keywords bank, right? And this is one of my favorite tools, you guys, it gets me so amped up. And what's awesome is it actually color codes your words and your phrases by search volume and frequency. So as you can see, the words are sorted by word frequency, and then the phrases are sorted by your search volume. So anything that's the hotter tones are things that are going to essentially be searched for more, have a better search volume. And then as they go down into the cooler tones, it might either be we don't have access to that search volume data, like I said, or it has less search volume. So keep that in mind when you want to conduct your product title, right? It's a great way for you to find a keyword that you want to actually utilize, that you want to rank front and center for. And it can be in your benefit to include that, because people that are searching for something specific in their mind, the moment they read it, right, they say, oh, this person's giving me exactly what I'm looking for. So including it in your title is an option. And of course, bullet points is not exactly super relevant to KDP, which is why 200 bytes is not really enough for us. We have 4,000 characters, right? So you can change this to whatever you'd like. Maybe you want to do less than 4,000 characters. You can do that. I'm just going to put in, let's say 3,000, up to you. I mean, if you want to optimize the full listing, you could totally do that. And here I can now input, because it's 4,000 characters in Kindle. If you're doing it in Amazon as like a physical product, obviously that would be different. That's why I want to make sure you know how to change that. So whatever listing style you have, feel free to play around with that. And once you start typing things in, let's say I typed in, have you been searching for a mindfulness? This is going to be a terrible description for now, just because I want to show you guys how to use the tool, but please take more time on this than me. Here, once I'm typing things in, it will show me all the things that are relevant in my phrases section. And I can either go through and click, or let's say, have you been searching for an inspirational book for kids? I can now, that makes more sense for me. So inspirational books for kids, right? Super simple. We saw them get crossed off. So here I have one time I've used mindfulness for kids, anatomy of anxiety, inspirational books for kids. Up here, it also tells us how many times we've used each word. Let's say I ended up using mindfulness in the title. You'll see that mindfulness here in the word section now becomes 2. Okay. So anytime you're using things over and over, you'll be able to track exactly how many times you're using it. This is really helpful in making sure you're optimizing that listing space you're given to the max capacity, because you don't want to be putting in the same exact words over and over again, hoping for a different result, right? And then if you go down, it'll even tell you the generated search volume off of what you've inputted. So if you want to know, I mean, the listing quality score is not entirely relevant unless you are doing it as a physical copy and you're doing maybe merchant fulfilled. So if you're selling those books or you're sending them into a Amazon warehouse, the hardcovers, and doing it, then this will be more relevant to you, where you want to make sure these are just Amazon best practices. Your title contains at least 150 plus keywords, 5 bullet points, 150 characters in each bullet point, etc. But if you're on Kindle and you're doing your paperback or your hardcover or your ebook, then just take a look at the search volume, because that is going to be your most important metric here. Going back in, you can click add to my list if you'd like, or copy this information, and then you'd be able to click finish and save this. At any point, if you want to, let's say you don't want to, you have specific keywords in the title that you want to use again in the bullet points, you could do that and then click this little ignore icon. And so it will remove all of those that have been used. Now, last thing, the reason I said 30 to 40 keywords, right, is because when you are able to, you don't want to first keyword stuff your listings. You want them to make sense. You want your consumer to feel understood, so they will actually want to buy, and it needs to feel value packed, right? But outside of that, once you've used the words inside of the listing, I'm hoping you guys can have 7 keywords or however many keywords, if it's not on Kindle, for your backend. So earlier we were asked a question about misspellings or variations. So yes, when you're on Cerebro and Magnet, maybe you found some keywords that weren't spelled correctly. You're not going to put those on the front end of your listing, but you can include it in your list. And then once you come here, you could keep a track of which keywords you haven't used and then input all of those in the back end. I've never personally tested exactly the direct impacts of playing around with whether the front end or the back end matters more. I think in general, you are very limited in your space. Right. It doesn't matter, because when you're walking into a store, right, you have employees. They're saying, hey, how are you today? How are you feeling? What are you looking for? Let me find it for you. Let me go get your sizes. Let me show you this book. If you're looking for this, it's in this section. You don't have any of that online, right? When you're online, all you have is your keywords on the back end and then whatever you put in on that front end. So I don't look at it so much as an author myself that uses Helium 10 for my books. I don't look at it so much as one's more important than the other, but it's more so taking the time when you're doing your keyword planning in that initial front end stage, right? Finding those keywords with the search volume, the competing products that are relevant. That is going to be your most important phrase, and then try to maximize all of it. And again, just keep an eye on the generated search volume. That'll be definitely helpful. Last thing I'll cover, I know we're wrapping up on time here, is the keyword tracker. So the keyword tracker, once you have your book up and listed, maybe you have certain books or certain keywords that you want to track. I have this one already kind of saved. It's from before. It's a different book. It's The Power of the Subconscious Mind. But all you basically do is when you are taking a look at this, you can click Add New Product and then input the ASIN that you have or the ISBN, and then input a bunch of keywords that you want to track. So maybe all the keywords that we wanted to optimize for, right? We can go to our list, export it out, copy, and then paste it here, one per line. Once you do that and you click Start Tracking, and make sure you're in the right marketplace. So if you want to track it in a different marketplace, you'll want to change that. Just the same way that even in Cerebro, there's a place where you can change the marketplace. So make sure that for the different marketplaces you have, if you want to be ranking highly in a different market, you're taking the time to do that for other markets as well. But here you have the keyword that you input inside the copy and paste, your number of keyword sales, the search volume, the CPR, number of competing products, but also where you're showing up. So this book is doing not great, right? Like the organic rank isn't really showing up. The sponsored rank isn't really showing up either. But if you were to have that data, then it would appear here. And this is a great way for you just to keep track of, are you actually ranking for the keywords? And where are you showing up in those first 7 pages or in that first page? So a couple things for the cheat sheet. Inside of the tool section, you'll see a very brief description per se. So anything we talked about today was the Chrome extension, which isn't included here because that's the direct on browser tool. But here we see keyword research, and we talked about the first two. So Cerebro was the reverse product lookup. So it's exactly what it sounds like. You put in a product ID and you'll get keywords. Magnet is keyword for keyword research. So it's just you put in a keyword, but these are all keyword research tools. Misspellinator, you can find misspellings. We don't really focus on it, but it is an option you have where you can find people that have spelled something wrong. And of course, add it to your list. That's where you find stuff. Now here you have the keyword tracker. So that was after, actually, let me go in order. So listing optimization, we have the listing builder, and that's where you actually build out that listing, see the search or the keywords that are listed and the search volume change, and then keyword tracker over here. But again, new and improved listing optimizer. I know it says listing optimizer right here for Scribbles. That was our OG one. It's the one Helium 10 really started with. The other option you have for the learning is our pro training videos, also our academy. So our academy, you can actually go through and it's completely free to go through the courses. There's like 7 different courses, one for each section of this. And then at the end, you can get certified in our tools. I don't think it's entirely relevant to authors. So of course, unless you're selling a physical product, not necessarily something I would recommend. However, you can go there and just find videos for this stuff. Now, I will be building out videos myself for Kindle specifically in some time.
Oh, good.
So
that's great.
Hopefully you guys will be able to use that. But last thing, again, if you want to share something that we can improve on, just inside of your Helium 10 account, in the top corner, you have this little question mark icon. You can share your ideas with us to request new features. So let us know. And hopefully this has been helpful to you.
Thank you, Shivali.
Thank you. This was so fun. This was so fun. I hope you guys all have monumental success.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a great day.